Hello everybody, this is AOG Gaming here, back with another video. Basically, we're just talking about the finals, the state it's in, how we can bring it back to its former glory. I tried to do this video earlier, but it was a little bit laggy. I don't know if it's going to be the same thing right now. Anyway, they've done a lot of good stuff to the game for Season 9 that I think people haven't... Like, it kind of just went over their heads because the devs haven't really balanced the game in a general sense. It's been poke meta for so long, and then they just made it even stronger. They nerfed like the most broken stuff, but they just made assault rifles even stronger. And shotguns are pretty much like one person on your team will have a shotgun, and that's like a maybe. For the most maps, it's just all ranged. A few AKs for the cleanup. It's ridiculous. That's probably the biggest negative, right? The biggest positive is that they've done a lot to add content to the game in terms of free stuff you can get, and free skins is always awesome. First, we have the career choose. You know, they have like progression up to 40. Maybe they'll add second pages to all the other ones that don't have that. But as you can see, you can choose who you want to go with. Obviously, it's per season. So I'm assuming I can't do much, but I can get the second part, you see? So now you can complete the whole thing in one, and I can get the ninja outfit, which is what I kind of wanted anyway. Yeah, that's pretty sick. But yes. It's one of the best things that they added to the game. It gives you free skins in terms of just playing the game, just doing anything really in the game, and it's fun, except for practice mode, obviously. They didn't really do much to your career thing, but I guess they gave you more levels to your career progression, whatever that does, so that's great. They have new events, which is awesome. That's always great to see. But really what they added was the coin system in cash out. So let's see. What can I see? Yeah, so you get the coin, right? Emblem and Emerald rewards coins. Upgrade of previous rewards, which I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, they are. So you get all of this stuff, which is awesome. The coin, it only gives you one, I'm pretty sure. It allows you to basically use it to gain any emerald skin in the game, whether that be for a gadget or a weapon. Abilities obviously don't have that, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, this is wild. It's probably the best thing that they added, and I don't think enough people have been praising this game for that. I think everyone should be playing the game because of that, because it means so long as you play a bit here and there, so long as you do what you need to do in the game in order to grind a bit, you should be having a lot of fun and actually getting a reward that feels satisfactory, because it's Emerald. It's one of the gem rewards. You don't get those very often. Platinum and Diamond is, you know, just Platinum Diamond. You get more multi-bucks, so this only gives you 250. But yeah, so it gives you sticker plus charm, World Tour badge, and then it gives you the emblem, background, emerald reward coins, and the 250 multi-bucks is just like from the diamond and up. So yeah, that's like the best thing that they've added. We can't really, there's nothing really to say about that other than positive stuff. They also added Point Break, which I think is one of the best things that they added to the game. Point Break being the kind of point capture battlefield game mode. It's basically, it's a fun game mode. It's basically just like a big war, though. That's the best thing I can explain. It's probably the best if you're coming from PvP battle royale games. So yeah, so here's the other thing I need to talk about, right? Let me explain that better. They didn't just add Point Break. What they've really done is they've rounded out the UI and really shown you exactly what it's going to help you in the game. I think they could have done it a bit better, but here's how they go. We have the core modes: ranked, cash out, and cash out. These are going to be the sweatiest, where people are going to be playing scrims, where people are going to be playing ranked. It's just the way it is. Especially this game, it's a very competitive FPS. Quick Cash is going to be your third-party simulator that's going to help you understand the flow of battle when there's more than one team you're fighting at the same time. It's very useful for that. Bank It is kind of like your solo battle royale. It's basically like that, but you have to, it's not really solo, you have 2 other people on your team, but it's 4 teams of 3, sorry, and you kind of just like kill everybody and plug in money. But if you're 2 together, or if you're 2 staggered, it's kind of chaos. That's the best way to explain it. Point Break, I feel like, will help you if you're coming from like Battlefield or from any more war type game, just in general. Also has a lot of destruction in general, so that if you're just like a good sniper, it's a great map. Power Shift is awesome if you've come from like, honestly though, Power Shift is a bit different because the platform floats and does stuff. I was gonna say it's like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch, but those games, the cart that you push stays on the ground, so it's a lot easier to do that because you just have basically a moving cover. Whereas the power shifting is kind of just it's kind of a bowl of destruction as well as a fortress of solitude. It really depends on how the game goes, but it is a pretty fun game mode. Team Deathmatch is really if you're coming from Call of Duty, Apex, like just any game mode where you're going to be fighting a lot of people. Apex though, I guess the more, yeah, it would be cash out actually, because just like the way the mechanics work in terms of death. Head to head is probably the third most competitive game mode out of all of these. Second out of the, I guess you could call them non-ranked modes, because cash out counts as non-ranked since it doesn't really give you anything. But yes, head to head is wild. It's pretty much helping you for the final round, but it also helps you do ranked and cash out, just learning how to fight one team and be so good at wiping them out and just taking advantage of their weaknesses, the spots in their defenses and gaps, and pretty much all of their abilities and deployments. It's great how they've labeled this, right? But I feel like you should put head to head up here, all the way at the top, and then you should kind of vary them by strength, right? I feel like head to head is the most sweaty one because it is only 2v2. So if you are placed against really, really good people, you just like, and also this is like to help you. Like this will really help you learn how to engage and disengage so much easier against one team. But I would say Quick Cash helps you overall in the sense of just everything at once, not just one team but 2 teams, because it does both kind of at the same time. I don't think head to head is useless, but it does feel like it's not as useful in terms of the other one, so I would put Quick Cash above that one. But yeah, then it would be head to head, then cash out, and then ranked. Cash out obviously being at the very top, but that just for ranked. Everything else is below. I would do Team Deathmatch, Point Break, Power Shift, and then Bank It. Bank It being like one of the most unique game modes, just the way it's just chaos. That's the best way to explain it. But other than that, the game is great. I don't understand why people are complaining about it and people are leaving, other than the fact that we have a Smurf problem. Embark hasn't done anything to address that since the beginning. And honestly, I think that just is what is the root that stems all these problems stem from. This is the root that all the problems stem from. It's because when you have Smurfs, it ruins the skill floor. There is no skill floor if there are people in there who are already at the skill ceiling. It just raises that floor, and it doesn't really help people who are just starting. So to a lot of people saying it's a high skilling game, high skill floor game, Yeah, it's kind of both, but at the same time, it's just mainly being um, not buffered. What's the right word? It's being skewed a lot, the data, by the fact that there's pretty much so many Smurfs accounts. And like a lot of people have said, the phone number is probably the best way to do that because you need to use your phone number in order to verify your account. And, you know, I guess you could use other people's phone numbers so you get a phone, but like most people only have one phone number and they're not going to go out of their way to try and get another one. If they do, it just makes it a lot more less accessible than just like basically creating a new Steam account and then just downloading the game. Because that's literally how easy it is, right? So what they have to do is make it so that you have to verify a phone number in order for you to make your Embark ID, kind of like what they do with a lot of other stuff. Because the email thing doesn't really matter. You can make as many emails as you want. Phone numbers are pretty much selective because even if you do get another phone number, like what are you going to do? Just use that for the game? Unless you're like a well-paid streamer, that doesn't really seem worthwhile to me. Even if it is a cheap phone, like you're just buying a phone for the sake of one thing, and it. I guess if you get that much enjoyment out of it, people who are making accounts, Smurf accounts like that, but I don't know. There's only so much you can do. Obviously, the AI thing where you kind of see people's movements and like, okay, this person knows where they're going. You just kind of immediately ban them from for a week or a year. Actually, just ban the account altogether at that point because they're smurfing. Smurfing should just not be allowed. It's not for me. I could care less at this point. I've already gone through the gauntlet, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's horrendous, whatever. It's the game is the game like that. But when I have level 13 teammates and they don't know how to do anything, I kind of feel bad for them sometimes because they always look like they're panicking. And that's one of the worst things about the finals is it becomes like a horror panic game when you don't know what to do because all you think about is running away when you're losing health or when you think you're going to lose health, and that's not how the game works exactly. There are TTK point breaks, but it just makes it very interesting to see how people play that way. I think that's like the brunt of it. I guess we can get into more specifics. Obviously, the second, I would say 30% of the fact that this game is losing players and we're not able to get more players is, well, I said smurfing, what else? Oh, balancing. Right. Because the balancing doesn't exist in this fucking game. It never has, apparently. It kind of just like got really skewed, and then they tried to bring it back together, and then it got skewed again, and then I don't know. It feels like we get close to balancing. It feels the most balanced it's ever been, and then they like overtune something or they release something overtuned, and it just destroys the meta. Like it completely changes everything. Now I will say the whole meta thing is just annoying to me, but it will always exist. So for people who think like they will like 100% make everything viable the same equally, no. It's never gonna happen, especially if you have specialty weapons like you do in this game. They're just gonna be weapons that are better at other stuff, and if there's a weapon that's an all-rounder that's really good, then they just have to keep that at a base level where it only works if your teammates are also using their weapons really well. Because otherwise you just get into the dilemma of you have this overpowered weapon when you are really good, and when you are just starting out it's just a very solid weapon because it punishes you the least and is the most adaptable to every situation. So really it just comes down to each weapon, right? I think that's the biggest issue with the weapons. In terms of light, heavy, and medium, like we're fine with the health pools. I don't think they should change anything with the health pools. They were perfect to begin with. In the general sense, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. I will say, however, there needs to be a damage balance because you can't have heavies being able to delete everybody and also being able to survive everything. that just doesn't make any sense. Because heavies are literally able to do that. And it's gone to the point where just have to use the dagger to have fun, because it's the only thing that lets me kill the ridiculous amount of damage per second that a heavy can pump out, where I just have to use this thing at moment's notice. See, that's the thing about light versus heavy versus medium. I would say medium takes the most skill out of all the classes there is. And people can say what they want about that. They can tell me I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. Because medium is very much support-like. And you kind of have to play that way because you don't have the most amount of health and you don't deal the most amount of damage, especially after they've been nerfing some medium stuff. And just in general, they've been doing that for a while. The thing about medium is they have a lot of map coverage. Like, they're able to be in a lot of different places at once, because I honestly think they have more movement than lights. Not even lying. Like, mediums have just barely enough coverage to basically stop lights from doing what they want. The issue is that now that Invis and Dash has become a thing, like, well, Dash was always a thing, but the grapple has almost died. It doesn't completely, but it's here and there. I see it very rarely. The thing about grapples, you have to be very good at using it and very sparingly, because it's on a cooldown. They should honestly give you 2 uses and make the cooldown longer to basically punish you if you're not using them properly, like all at once, or like, yeah, but basically all at once. At that point, you're just either you've gotten out because you used your grapples properly, or you're dead because you completely screwed everything up. And then increase the cooldown, obviously, so that it's not double it, because that would just be ridiculous, but maybe like 2/3 of what double is, like 1.5. That's the best way I can think of. But yeah, it just feels like right now medium is the weakest, light is the second weakest. It's just that light has ridiculous weapons like the double barrel, the dagger, the bow, which they buffed. They didn't have to do. The sword is actually pretty decent. If you're really good at the game and positioning and melee, the sword will destroy lobbies. For heavy, everything is pretty much viable except for spear and hammer. But melee, again, that's been the thing about balance. They really just shat on melee, and it was broken, I do have to admit, but it wasn't broken to the point where there was nothing else viable. Which is kind of retarded. Sorry. Let me take that back. I don't mean to say it. It was kind of dumb when Embark decided to nerf that to the ground and leave everything the way it was otherwise. I understand that melee is not fun when it's at the top level, but neither is poke and neither is anything else, in fact. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be serious, it's supposed to be competitive. If you don't like melee that much in high, it's just because you're bad at the game. Like, melee has to get close to you. There's always been the debate like, oh, if melee's too overpowered, they can just, pop up on you and you're dead. You have all that range. You can hear invis, you can see invis. Medium melee doesn't even exist, so let's not even talk about that one. It's like the very few people who actually have the time and dedication to do that. But the heavies are just like, they're the only ones who can really use it dominantly, other than sword, I would say. Dagger has its shining moments here and there, but for the most part, sword and hammer is the most consistent. Spear is the next consistent one, and then after that would be, of course, medium, but we don't really call those consistent in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, balancing, they've pretty much overtuned poke stuff, and it's made it so that only people who, and it makes Smurfs, it gives that advantage to Smurfs a lot more, because yeah, for melee, I will admit, when you are close enough to people and you're able to pull off some stuff, it does require a bit less skill, because you're kind of, closer to people, so you're not as you don't need as fine movements with your mouse or your well, you still need good timing. You need good timing, good placement. So that's not exactly true, but your aim doesn't have to be as precise sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I think that's why people think like, oh, that's why Melee is broken. No, it just means that we have the advantage when we're close, which is what it should be because it's fucking Melee. I don't understand why that's such a big issue. Embark is capable of ignoring a lot of things, but apparently they're not capable of ignoring when people cry for Melee. And that's one of the things that really killed this game. Because, let's be honest, a lot of people were playing when Melee was actually viable. Actually as competitive as something as a shotgun or a freaking F-car or a shack. Like, it was actually viable. Now it's kind of just like you have to be really good in order for it to be broken. Or even just viable sometimes. Because there's people who are just insane at aim, and it's just like you can't even get close to them. They know everywhere you're going to be, and they just know where people push. They just have the best point, the best positioning ever. Plus the best aim ever. You can't do much about that. Unless they screw up somehow, which happens very rarely, you can't do much about that. So, yeah, it all comes down to that Embark. You gotta balance the game back so that Melee can actually compete with ranged options. People are saying, no, that's horrible, bro. They don't even know what they're talking about. The game is dying. If they knew what they were talking about, the game wouldn't be dying because people would be on their channels. Isn't that how that works? No, I'm joking. No, it's not that they're not right. It's just that they live in such a small world because they are in the competitive scene. They're not in the casual scene. It's that simple. You're not a casual player. I'm sorry, streamer. I'm sorry, content creator. You're not an average player. You're not a part of the common masses. You literally play and make videos for the game for a living, and I just do it for fun. In fact, I haven't posted a video in so long, but that's just because I have a life. I do other stuff. But then again, it comes down to the loudest vocal community is the one that's online the most, because they are the ones who are going to be playing and dealing with it the most. The average players don't go out of the way to complain that much, because unless they really love the game and they really want to see some change, because at that point, like, you just got on the game to play a game and have fun. We've been missing this ever since games have become a how can I get as much money as possible and appease as much people as possible. That's not how games work. Games are supposed to be fun. And if they're challenging, and people are complaining about it, then that just means they suck. That's that simple. You can't escape logic. But for some reason, it just seems to be a thing in games because, oh, in games you can be anything you want, anything can happen. Yeah, but at the same time, it's a game. Like, if it's not fun for a majority of the people, specifically new people, then how are you going to get more people to play or even keep the audience that you somehow got, other than the original people who are just enamored by it? I don't understand these creative minds. And the same thing is happening with Marvel Rivals. The same thing is happening... Actually, Overwatch is doing pretty good. Overwatch is doing great. Overwatch is awesome. Marvel Rivals is not. It's getting there, but it's still in a... It's got its dilemmas. The tanks are just dead, and I can't play anymore because everyone bans all the healers, so I can't do anything, and at that point I don't want to play DPS and just play mindless DPS. I'd rather play DPS here. Now, I will say, balancing this game is always going to be hard, so do not expect it to change within a couple of seasons, even 3 seasons. I think you still need like 5 seasons for the game to be actually balanced. And Embark, the biggest issue is that you have to focus on one thing or the other. I know that pushing content is great for the game, but I think it would be very healthy and well worth it if for just 1 season or maybe half a season You just focus on balancing, just like straight balancing. And what you can do, because you're so good at it, is to release a temporary game mode where you have those weapons already balanced, so you don't mess with anything during that season. You have that season be the same as before, maybe do minor tweaks in here where they're needed that you know you're gonna obviously already implement. But then you have a game mode where people can play, and you can just call it beta battlers or something. I don't know, where you just test weapons that have been changed, and you can only test those weapons and gadgets that have been changed. It's just a thing, you know. And then you can also, like, at least in that game mode, have descriptions of the patch or something where it shows you, oh, this is what we changed, this is how we changed it, and then people can build a loadout and then, you know, play with only those things, and then you can actually see, you can have your players test it for you. You have like 90-day seasons, 3-month seasons, where you can just have people playing your weapon test, and you can just re-update that event over and over again when you have a new different balance or you're tweaking stuff again. Basically having a beta mode within the game itself, a beta server, beta game mode that is connected to a beta server. That's the best way I can explain it. So that then you get all those updates, you're able to, you know, aggregate that onto the other servers, and now you have, there you go, you update the game, and now that you can keep that server, or you can actually take it away and you know, use that server for other stuff after that, because it doesn't have to be a, like I said, a permanent game mode. It can be a limited game mode where all you do is test stuff, but you're still playing the finals, so you get to see how stuff is broken. And honestly, you can even have stuff where, like, you can be like season 1 balance or something like that, and people can play with like season 1 or season 2 weapons, just to like give people a measure of how the balance is going and see how people feel about it, because that will give you the best indication. Not even that too, like just the straight numbers will give you the best indication of what is good, what is viable, and what people actually like to play, because then you can buff stuff that people don't like to play and make it as useful and as likable as the other stuff. That simple. All in all though, I still love the game. I've never quitted the game. I've been playing, I just haven't had time to make any videos. But it is beautiful. This is a great game. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it has its problems, but so does every game. Overwatch is great, but it's not perfect. It's just one of the most balanced games I've ever played, in my opinion. This game is just breathtaking though. The cosmetics, the gameplay, the wild stuff you can do. There's some stuff you can do that just makes you feel like a god sometimes. So yeah, it is what it is though. Hopefully the creators of this game will finally come back from their break and actually get together to balance a game and give us a good, healthy playing experience, so I'm not just stuck in a turmoil of, do I want to play finals, do I want to play this game, do I want to play that, where I can just be like, finals. That's how I was season 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's just been slowly me being like, I know everybody hates lights, but they should honestly be, like, you have so many mines in the game. You gotta let the lights do something. They've got nothing in terms of like setting up. Like, light should be able to plant something down other than C4, which every class has pretty much, and run away and use it like a stop and get people down low. Because it's ridiculous that every other class can just drop like 5 mines and then you can just randomly run over them or be very close to them, like 10 feet, and it'll still blow up. The mines have to be fixed. Mines need to be a lot, like, you have to be stepping on them or hitting them. I don't want none of this, oh, I have to be right next to them or whatever, because you can shoot them. You can shoot the mine. You can use your C4 to set it off. You can drop it, shoot it. You can throw an explosive barrel below, and like, there's so many things you can do to set it off. Having a radius of like 5 feet from the mine itself is crazy. I should be able to jump over a mine. Mines are, in real life, you are able to jump over them. That is pretty much the only buff I would give to a light, because the mines are pretty much one of the biggest counters to lights. It's not really a counter. It's not even skilled. It's just you just place it down, and a light's not going to be able to hear it when they have their invis. Because hey, guess what? The invis is so loud you can hear it across the fucking map. You're gonna grapple up and not even hear the mine until the last second. Oh, you're dead. Or you're gonna dash straight into a room. Oh wait, there was a mine on the very inside of the door. So guess what? It hits you because hey, triggering radius of 5 feet and AoE damage of 10 feet. Like, come on, Embark. What the fuck are we doing? These mines are egregious. That's my only thing that I really hate that they haven't balanced. The mines are not balanced whatsoever. There's, especially with heavy being meta, they can just place like 10 mines and call it a day. I think that's going to be it. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I don't know if I'm going to be posting more, but I just had to post this video because a lot has been going on with the finals, and felt like I needed to say something since it feels like not enough people appreciate the game, but also not enough people understand how to balance the game. It really feels like they're just listening to the audience instead of actually, like, I don't understand. That's all I can say. Thank you all for watching. Peace, and hopefully I'll see you all later.